Well, welcome everyone. Thomas Montgomery Smart Money Alliance. It is Tuesday morning, June 23rd, 7:59 a.m. Central, and nowhere else I'd rather be than right here with you to talk about this important topic. What we're going to discuss today is the regional director role, and this is not a change. So this position description you can see was developed back in April. It's been up on the Smart Money Alliance website on the career page, I believe, since around that date. The change or the emphasis is simply we need to get our leadership team put together. While a flat organization with less bureaucracy has many benefits, one typically can't grow efficiently without some structure. And so we're continuing to grow our branch management team, but having all of those branches, and we're still on track to open 1,000 branches by the end of the calendar year, by the end of 2020, we don't want to hire a whole call center just to support branches. So our hierarchy is to have regional directors who are the leadership team, and that's what we're going to talk about today. And then the regional directors recruit and oversee branches. And they're paid very generously to do so. Again, there is no cost now or ever to be a regional director. So this is not a pay-to-play type of position. So what I wanted to do is to spend a little bit of time making sure that everyone's familiar with the regional director role. And if you might like to be considered, then that's fine. The one thing that we are starting is an override that you can be a regional director and bring other regional directors in, but we'll get to that in a moment. The primary focus of regional directors, as stated, is to do these three things. We need to open branch offices. Well, why do we want to open branch offices? Well, that's our local flags in the sand. Think about Edward Jones or State Farm offices, for example. Why in the world in this age of online everything does State Farm and or Edward Jones want to have local offices in communities across the country? It's to have that community presence, to be visible. And when we're working with people on topics of money, it's very sensitive. And so we want to have these local branches. Each branch represents a community of 4 zip codes. That doesn't mean that they can't help people outside of those 4 zip codes, but those 4 zip codes is their territory. It's their home court, to use a sports analogy. So they're working closely with key influencers, with banks and chambers and co-working spaces and churches, all types of key influencers, to make sure that the community knows that they are the resource to help improve financial literacy and access to capital. Those local branch managers should be holding 2 types of workshops every month. And that's a big part of what the regional director is going to be doing, is working with them, number one, to make sure that they're hosting weekly access to capital overview workshops. That's about 1 hour where we're just doing a general overview of who we are, how we help, and teach some key principles, and leading into a needs analysis. So we want the regional directors to work with their branches to schedule a reoccurring day of the week, recurring time of the day, but a consistent location. So for instance, every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. that they have an access to capital overview. So that's an important role of the regional director, is to support, encourage, and frankly hold accountable their branches to have those weekly educational sessions. Secondly, the second part of important education that should happen in each community through the branch that the regional director is going to assist with, support, and hold accountable are the monthly access to capital workshops. That's where we gather a group of 20 or more together in one room for a full day. Now, I know that's a big commitment, but it's a results-oriented day. What we're going to do is spend the first 60 to 90 minutes providing some foundational educational topics so that the entrepreneurs are ready. And then we're going to build their business plan in that day. We're going to build their financial projections during that one-day workshop. We're going to put together their personal financial statements during that one-day workshop. We're going to get their key person policies for collateral assignments set up during that one-day workshop. So at the end of that day, they should have their loan package ready to go to funding the next day, unless it's a weekend and then the next business day. So that's the second type of workshop that every branch should be doing on a monthly basis. Now, the branch manager is doing quite well for themselves, but we need more oversight, more support, more coaching, and that's where the regional directors come in. So going back over here, so the first thing our regional directors do is develop branch offices. Take Tony, and welcome to the team, Tony. He is our newest regional director. He just executed his agreement with us today. With that, he already has 4 branches and will continue to be growing more. So opening the branches is certainly a primary duty. Then we need to support those branches, and I'll go into some more depth about what that means. But a part of that is specifically being the first line of contact. So when the branch manager has a question, they're not calling us up. They're not calling Jennifer, who is our educational coordinator. They're not calling me. They're calling or texting or emailing their regional director. And again, this model is largely built off of the SBA model. Because remember, those of us that co-founded this, we came from the small business development centers. And so this is quite analogous. The SBDCs have local offices, like the one that I worked at up until July 5th of last year. Those are typically based at a college or a university. And then there are regional directors. So I worked at the Tyler Small Business Development Center in Tyler, Texas, located at Tyler Junior College. That's where my office was. And then my boss was the equivalent of the branch manager, Don Proudfoot, great guy, has been there 22 years, he's banking it. And then he reports into the regional director who's out of Dallas. And so you can see the analogies here. We're opening local offices to be accessible, to improve financial literacy, to increase access to capital. Now in our model, those branch managers are not government employees. They are entrepreneurs. So they're able to generate adult income by performing these tasks, but that's not our focus today. And then the regional directors are paid a couple different ways, which I'll go through in a moment, but supporting those branch offices. We need to demonstrate, and kind of skipping around a bit, but to become a regional director, again, there's no cost, but we do need to demonstrate that you have the ability to help us get branches opened. Otherwise, there's no fit there. And so just like Tony did, he just brought on 4 branches. Once, if you're interested or anyone's interested in being a regional director, they bring on 4 branches. We'll support you in doing that. And then you're going to be actively involved with supporting them, and we'll support you to support them. Thirdly, a primary duty is being part of our leadership team. That includes quarterly and finding the right term. We'll call it a retreat. I don't know if I feel comfortable with that, but that's where we pay for you to cover all your travel costs. We're getting together in different locales, and we spend a day to 2 days together, both sharing best practices, problem solving, reviewing processes, policies, and procedures. You're part of the leadership team. And so again, those are all expense paid trips. So those are the 3 primary duties. I can certainly dig deeper into number 2, and we will in a moment. Of course, what any logical person would ask is, well, what's in it for me, right? So as a regional director, again, we're not selling anything. It is set up as a license agreement, but there's no cost for the license, not a penny, not deferred, not later, not contingent. There's no cost to be a regional director. So the first revenue stream that regional directors have, and I think many of you know this, is you make $5,000 for each branch that you help open. Now, the $20,000 here is obviously assuming that you're on track, You're an effective regional director, and we're bringing on at least one branch a week for a month. That's where that math comes from. But technically, and I'll show you the agreement, it's $5,000 per branch. Secondly, you earn an override from the capital raise of the clients from the branches. So the branches are going to use the Capital Ready program version 2.0. Of that, the branch earns 5% of the capital raise. Not a bad gig, right? So that's at least $5,000 for each client, because we know we guarantee $100,000. The regional director receives an override of 1%. Well, that's $1,000 for every client that goes through that process. Each branch should be minimally helping 20 clients a month. We've talked about that many times in separate training. So that should be at least $20,000 per month for each branch if we're helping the branches be successful. Well, part of that certainly falls on our shoulders, but a big part of it falls on the regional director, right? Because the regional director is out there finding the branch office managers. So he or she's involved with selecting who's coming to the table, and then he or she is helping them implement the programming to be successful. The third income stream that's not listed here are the overrides from the key person policies, and that can be very, very meaningful. Now, not all of our regional directors are licensed life insurance agents. You simply can't be paid overrides for life insurance, just like you couldn't for real estate commissions, if you're not life licensed. So take Tony, who just came on today. He is not an agent. So he's not receiving number 3, so it's not listed here. But just to clarify, if you are life licensed or willing to become life licensed and you're a regional director, there's actually a third revenue stream. We don't want to put it on here because if you're not life licensed, it would be illegal for you to receive those monies. And then I guess what's also not listed would be number 4, is helping us develop other regional directors. It used to be that we didn't pay overrides for regional directors, bringing other regional directors in, but that was kind of obstructing our growth. So you can see if the client's paying 9.5% of their capital raise off of the Capital Ready 2.0, and 5 of that's going to the branch, and then another override's going to the regional director, and then if you're bringing regional directors to the table, then you have an override. We're paying out 7% of that 9.5. And so I don't think that we could ever be accused of having too high of a performance fee, that we're greedy, that we're charging too much, because you can see that over 70% of it's paid out to the field. We're making a very small amount. And then also remember, we're refunding the refundable deposit, the $2,500 as well, which allows the clients to participate and get their loan package for free. So again, this whole position description hasn't changed a bit. It was developed back in April. It's on the website on the career page. Let's see. I guess we'll go through briefly here. This is just illustrating what the value proposition is to the branch manager, because to be successful as a regional director, you need to bring on branches and then support and oversee those. So let's make sure that we understand the value proposition to the branches. So they're able to piggyback off of our nonprofit status. They're a local distribution point, as we were talking earlier, for our financial literacy curriculum, getting paid to onboard these clients, getting paid 5% of the capital raise. So we've covered all of that. We've talked about the strong proposition to the clients, which is if they go through Capital Ready package CRP 2.0, they're guaranteed at least $100,000 capital raise, regardless of personal credit, regardless of time in business. So that's a strong proposition. Another point that's really important is the regional directors are actually able to train prospective branch managers to vet them even before they offer them a position as a branch manager. because with the workforce grant, the certification training is now free. It used to cost $1,000. It's also on the career page of Smart Money Alliance. So regional directors really have it almost too easy. They can reach out to individuals. They can post ads on LinkedIn or Facebook or other Indeed or other job boards. They can train the prospective branch office managers without any financial commitment from anyone, then determine are they a right fit or not. And so then if so, then move forward with them. As I think you know, each branch receives a $25,000 allocation, which is wonderful. It's money that doesn't have to be paid back to help get their branch up and going. And it's pretty much unrestricted, so they can use that for as they would like. As we've talked about, branch managers are involved with teaching financial literacy, and that can be great for other business-to-business offerings, whether it be, of course, insurance, website development, business coaching, business consulting, bookkeeping, accounting, so forth. And then with the changes that we made earlier this year, it's only $250 out of pocket to get started as a branch office manager, and then the branch should fund itself from that point going forward. So again, the regional directors have a very important role, but this is a strong proposition. I'm going to flip over for a moment, and this is the actual regional director agreement. And so, for instance, this is what Tony just signed this morning. And if you run into someone, yourself or others, that might want to be a regional director, once they qualify, in other words, they brought 4 branches on to demonstrate competency that they can actually do it, then we can execute this. And then this allows them to start getting the other perks. They'll get the $5,000 a branch regardless if they're a regional director. But there's not any surprises or gotchas in this. Just going through a few of the highlights. We run it pretty much on a calendar year basis. So if someone comes in June or July, the agreement will run through the end of December, but then we have the ability to renew it on an annual basis. So it's a 1 year by 1 year basis. That way we can make sure that it's a good fit for everyone. Now, I didn't mention specifically, but this is replacing the state director role. For quite a while, we had a state director model, and it didn't work so well because one of the issues is that you might be in Michigan, but you know people in Ohio. Well, now are you stepping on the toes of the state director in Ohio? So we've gotten rid of the state boundaries. So true, we do aspire to have at least one regional director per state, 50, but you can develop branches anywhere in the nation. It doesn't have to be specifically within your state. Okay, I digressed a bit. So let's get back. And so again, we can send this to you so you can read it. It's all straightforward. Let's go find, I want to make sure that you see the cost, that there is no, here we go. Yeah, so there is no cost. So again, there's nothing hidden. There's no cost to be a regional director. I didn't mention that before, but I do want to get down to best efforts because this is key. So let's read through best efforts. And so this is the best effort of the licensee, which is the regional director. Must use best efforts to develop at least 4 branches monthly until a portfolio of 10 or more branches, offices are open. A good ratio for each regional director is to have 10 to 15 branches. With that, there's no cap, but if you're not going to be committed and effective in bringing on 10 to 15 branches, then the regional director role is probably not quite right for you. And so we should be bringing on average 1 a week. And then once we get about 3 months in, we should have our branch offices. You're getting paid $5,000 a piece for that. And then obviously the focus then turns to full-time support of those branches. However, nothing keeps you from continuing to add more branches. Now, what we need to make sure, and I mentioned this earlier, is the regional director needs to ensure that the branches are doing what we need to do to be successful in their community. So as I mentioned earlier, the free 1-hour access to capital overview workshops are crucial on a reoccurring basis. Same day of the week, same time of the day, so forth. We secondly need to be developing host relationships for the full day workshops. We talked about that a moment ago, and we need to make sure that the branches are compliant in a number of ways, but including section 810. So let's go down and see what 810 is all about. So, integral to the role of the regional director, the licensee, the regional director agrees to assist its branches, in other words, the branches that you've opened. Now, we do have some orphaned branches that we're going to assign out to some of the regional directors, so that way, well, you wouldn't get the $5,000 because you didn't recruit them, but you would earn the 1% override and the insurance overrides for them. But what are some of the branch operations processes that the regional director needs to be focused on? Well, we have weekly reporting requirements. Every Monday, the branches have promised to do reporting to Jennifer here at corporate in terms of key activities. Some of the branches aren't so good at doing that. Some of the branches aren't having activities. Well, that's where the regional director comes in and says, great, what can I do to assist you? To help them be successful. Secondly, the branches are responsible when we do the loan package. Remember, we provide the loan package as part of Capital Ready 2.0 as well as standalone in the 4-week access to capital. The branches are crucial in, of course, getting the clients plugged in, and it straddles the page break. Doing the personal financial statement. We have some branch managers that are not doing a good job. You know, we get the personal financial statements in and they're a freaking mess, right? Well, that's a crucial aspect of the branch manager, is to work with the client to help them have an accurate and complete personal financial statement. They're paid to do that, but also that's crucial as you take that next step, which is writing the key person policy for the clients going through putting together a loan package, because the personal financial statement tells you so much about the client circumstances, their assets, their liabilities, their income, their expenses, what policies they currently have. Again, none of this because we're clever or smart. That's the way that personal financial statements are. The SBA, for instance, requires disclosure of every every insurance policy that client has. And so it just puts the branch manager in such a perfect spot for dozens or even hundreds of clients per month to understand their circumstances and help them with their asset protection. So this is crucial. So if you want to be a regional director, sure, you can make a lot of money on the front end, a lot of money in overrides, but the goal is for you to be there to help your branches be compliant and be successful. Okay, and so that's essentially what I wanted to inform you about. What I want to do for the rest of our time together today is answer your questions. I'm not here to recruit you as a regional director. You might be good at it, you might not be. You might be interested, you might not be. I don't really care. My point today is I need you to understand who regional directors are and what they do, because branches need to report in to someone that has the time, that has the incentive, that has the inclination to support them. And to grow and reach our potential, we've got to get serious about having that leadership team across the country. Tony's one. We have many other openings. And so I want you to understand how it works. So the questions that you would have, not if you're interested in being a regional director, but what questions do you have about how this works, how the model is set up, how we're going to support our branches better? Okay, got a couple of questions in, and the rest of you feel free to drop them in the Q&A box. All right, so let's see. Desmond's a new branch manager. Yep. So as a new branch manager, you have a few layers of support, Desmond. Number one, if you don't have a regional director, and I don't think that you do, and we'll try to get you with one, but if you don't have a regional director, you do have Jennifer, who's our educational coordinator education coordinator here, full-time W-2. You have Bronwyn, and Bronwyn does a lot of training and support kind of on the back office side. She facilitates trainings once a week, Mondays at 4 p.m. Central. Just had one yesterday. And so then certainly I'm here to help you as well. What we need to do is make sure as a branch manager that we have you understanding the simple sales process, and that is here, right? And we've talked about this recently on trainings, but you need to make sure that you've gone through the certification, Desmond. You need to make sure that you understand step 1, step 2, and step 3 of the sales process. So it certainly starts with this. And then we'll be working with you to set up monthly goals and help you accomplish that. So yes, sir, we are here to help you. All right, and David has questions. So yes, so I think the best way to start recruiting branch offices, let me stop this share for a second. I like David, he's just kind of to the point. Tell me how to do this. So let me get over to our website, and I'll show you, David, and everyone else what I think the game plan should be. Okay, so you should see our website, Smart Money Alliance, and of course, if you have passed the background check, then we provide you a free replicated website, different format, but same content. Let's go back to Smart Money Alliance. So David, what you would do, in my opinion, is you've got to get the word out, especially insurance professionals. There are tens of thousands of insurance professionals that would be interested in an improved way to generate clients, because often it's the lack of leads that causes them to fail in hitting their income expectations. So not all of our branch managers are insurance professionals. They don't have to be, but it's a very natural fit. So, you can go on to Sales Genie, which we've taught, the link was just on this prior page we just looked at, and you can look up insurance agents in your area or any given geographic area, and you can reach out to them and let them know that you're, so let's role play. So David, let's say that you are an insurance agent in St. Louis, Missouri. And I found you by doing the Sales Genie lookup or whatever other way that I came up with my prospect list of branch managers, which again doesn't have to be insurance agents, but that's a pretty natural fit. And so I'm going to cold call you, right? And the phone's going to ring, and David picks up. And of course, when you don't recognize the number, you're skeptical, but you're going to answer. And I say, can I speak to David, please? And you say, well, this is he. Hey, David, my name's Tom Montgomery. I work with a nonprofit, and we've received a workforce grant to do training for insurance professionals to help you be able to be a better resource for small businesses in your community, whereby you'd be trained on knowing how to use financial literacy and providing access to capital to help you generate more clients. Again, this is through a workforce grant. There's no cost for the certification training. I wanted to see if you might be interested. And, David's gonna be a little skeptical because, free sounds too good to be true, but it is true. And so then essentially what David would do for David, I should have used different names, is get them over here and say, go to smartmoneyalliance.org, David. The free certification training's at the top of the career opportunity page, and you can go through that curriculum. That's a great way to start prospecting, right? Because almost every, not all, but almost every insurance agent's looking for more business, having an innovative way to generate policies, which the loan package really requires a key person policy. So you're taking the sale out of the insurance sale, and then you're able to train them to get them really familiar with how everything works without any cost or commitment. That's how I would go about it. And then of course, David, you'd be following up with your prospects, give them a week to go through it, follow up with them and ask them what they think and if they might like to get involved. And many of them will. Of course, they could get involved with no cost, kind of the equivalent of the affiliate model. All they would need to do is complete the background check, and then we could train them and support them to start writing policies. Or ideally, they would want to be involved in a more leadership role as a branch manager. So David, also on the career opportunity page is the branch manager information. Again, this hasn't changed. The economic modeling is here. Even the branch office manager onboarding packets even here, and there's YouTube videos. So it's my belief, and I'm probably wrong or could be wrong, but what you need for recruiting branches is all here. It's on the Smart Money Alliance website, or if you have passed a background check on your replicated site, because the same information is just formatted differently. We get career opportunities, and the same information we were talking about before is also on your replicated page. So that's what I would do, David. Identify your prospects. Don't have to target insurance agents. I would, but you don't have to. And I would plug them in, ask them to go through the workforce grant free certification training. That's going to help them have a really deep understanding of who we are and what we do. And then remember, on Tuesdays and Thursdays at this time, we're supposed to be, I'm not doing it today, but we're supposed to be focusing on answering questions of prospective branch managers. I'll be more consistent with that going forward. So, if they have more detailed questions or deeper questions or want third-party validation beyond what you can convey to them, David, just invite them to these Zoom webinars on Tuesdays and Thursdays. All right, David, so hopefully that helped answer your question. And I think for Beth, I answered yours as well. William asks, how do you start part-time as a regional director? Well, as a regional director, and of course the regional director information is here as well on the page. What you can do is start with your prospects, right? You need to identify who you're going to target. We'd recommend insurance agents, doesn't have to be. You can get those leads for free off of Sales Genie, which we showed you how, and start reaching out to them and then going through the process we've discussed. In terms of the hours of the day, I don't know. I mean, a lot of insurance agents work full-time. Many of them are part-time, working after hours. There's a whole lot of people that are not yet insurance agents that might like to become one. They could go through the background check and you'd get those overrides. So I don't know that there's some magic formula of time of day. The key is activity. Because you got to remember, worst case scenario, if they would like to help small businesses with financial literacy, and if they would like to earn extra income, even if they don't want to become a branch manager, you can still have them complete the background check and you can still earn the overrides off of their insurance, even if they're not buying a branch. So you can't hardly lose. William says he's a licensed agent. How can I connect with branch managers to write their key man policies for them? Well, there's a couple answers to that. We need to help you develop new branches. And so then you would either write those policies or get overrides. And then once you have completed your background check with us, then you'll be eligible for us to disperse leads out to you. And when I say leads, I don't mean some name. I mean someone that's signed up that's ready for a key person policy. Let's take William, for example. William, I think this week should get 6 clients because he's licensed in New York, and we will be getting him 6 clients to write policies on. So clients that are already signed up, already have been prefaced. And so, writing 6 policies in a day or two is good income for William. So we just need to get you, different William, sorry. We need to get you, William, to also be get the background check so you're eligible for that. All right, let's see. Rudy's going to start signing up branch managers today. Feels that he needs more knowledge. Okay, well, certainly understanding everything that's on this career opportunity page is a start. And then as I mentioned, Rudy, if you have your prospective branch managers go through the certification training, which is packaged, you don't have to teach it, it's on demand, is going to help them climb their learning curve a lot. And then lastly, you invite them to these Tuesday and Thursday sessions that we do Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Central. But the Tuesdays and Thursdays are really focused on answering questions from prospective branch managers. So I think if you leverage the tools and resources, you're going to hit it out of the park. We have a question: how do you become a branch manager? And so certainly reviewing this information, we've talked about going through the training, but we can send you the license agreement, and I'll send that over to you here afterwards, so you can become a branch manager. Very good. Let's see, other questions. A few are redundant because we covered it. Yes, sir. I'll get you the background check link so you can get that done. Desmond says, okay. Michael says, good morning. Good morning, Michael. If I became a regional director in that position for a year, what would keep me from continuing? Okay, very good. Yeah, our goal is to have consistency. I told you that a lot of this is built off the SBDC model, and I'm not exaggerating. You can verify it if you want. My boss, former boss, when I worked at the SBDC, had been there 22 years. I mean, he wasn't going anywhere, 22 years. And so we would love you to come on and be as a regional director for as long as you want to. But obviously it needs to make sense. And so what do you need to do to be a good regional director, Michael? Number one, we need to be able to open some branches, right? Because there's no one to support, no one to supervise, no overrides to make if you don't have any branches. So we need to have competency in opening some branches. We need at least 4 to formalize the regional director role, and that is clarified in the information that we've gone through on the career opportunity page. Secondly, you need to be working with your branches to help them be successful and be compliant. And so, it's all numbers, right? We're going to be able to look, Michael, and say, well, all of your branches, you've got 10 branches, Michael, and all of them have had at least 20 conversions in the most recent calendar month. Man, that's perfect. That's a perfect report card. But conversely, if none of them, have any conversions and they're not doing workshops and they're not teaching, then we've got a mess on our hands. Well, at that point, we either need to figure out how to get your branches on track, Michael, or it's not a good fit. And I know you'll do great, but just, it's through the results that both of us are going to decide. If you're making that $20,000 or $40,000 a month as a regional director, I suspect you're going to want to re-up in January. If you are not making adult income and your branches aren't successful, why would you want to continue, and why would we want to continue with it? But our goal is to have a very stable team of regional directors. Let's see, it looks like Doug's asking how many regional directors. So let's do the math. We know that we need to have 1,000 branches geographically distributed to have the coverage we need, kind of a State Farm, Edward Jones type of footprint. If you assume that the average regional director is going to oversee 10 branch offices, then it's a pretty simple mathematical equation. We need about 100 regional directors. Now, regional directors are not limited or capped at 100 branches. They can grow as many as they can care to manage. But with that being said, we need around 100 regional directors. Ideally, we have at least one in each state, but we could certainly have more than one in each state. Because remember, the branches get 4 zip codes, right? So let's just do some simple math here. Let's take, we'll start with the state of California. How many counties are, well, we'll do Texas first. That came up on my Google search. There's 254 counties. So we need 100 branch managers in the state of Texas alone. Well, that means that hypothetically, Texas could support about 10 regional directors. Let's see how many counties there are in California. There are 58. So we're going to need what? Around 15 branches in the state of California. And, so really 1 to 2 regional directors probably would be good. Different states are set up differently in terms of how many counties. Again, regional directors are not restricted to developing branches only in their state. But the bottom line is, and I forget who asked that question, I think it was Doug, we need about 100 regional directors. Desmond asked, how long is the background check? It's taken them, it's interesting, some of you go through it and it processes in like a day, and then some of you it's taking closer to a week. So I don't know why there's a difference. I don't know if some of you have more complicated backgrounds or the system just gets backlogged. But normally a day to a couple of days is how long the background check takes. And then Desmond's also asked about the CRM. And so, yes, the branch managers receive the CRM for free. It's part of the branch. Okay, are there any other, here's another question. Monique says, hi Monique. I know as a branch manager, we get 4 zip codes. And remember, you're not limited to helping people only in those 4 zip codes, but those are the protected zip codes that no one else will come in and develop relationships with key influencers if the key influencer has an address in your area, and no one else will come in and do in-person workshops in your 4 zips. But you're right, Monique, you can help people from anywhere across the country. There's no limitation of where the people are. There's a limitation of where the workshops are held and where the key influencers are based. So you're fine, Monique. You keep it going. David asked, how are we able to take an override on the insurance policy? So we're writing the key person policies through Nationwide. And Nationwide works out really well for us in 2 regards. They have a really strong key person policy. But secondly, they're doing a ton of advertising. If you watch TV, you'll see, is it Peyton Manning and whoever that country music star is? Brad Paisley, I think. Those commercials are prevalent. So it's really creating brand name awareness in the marketplace. So our branch managers are going to write the key person policies through Nationwide. And if you want to receive an override on that, of course, we'll get you plugged in to that hierarchy so you're able to get overrides on that. And it's a good point, David. You'll have insurance agents that come and say, oh, I'm already appointed with Transamerica or Pacific Life or whatever, New York Life or whatever. Well, that's fine. We're not a captive insurance agency, but we have a standardized model that the less moving parts, the less variables, the fewer variables, the less volatility we have, the more controlled, more effective it'll be. So we're writing exclusively now the key person policies through Nationwide. So hopefully that answered your question, David. Any other questions that anyone has about the regional director role? And again, my goal is not trying to recruit you to be a regional director. There's no cost, there's many benefits. My goal is instead to make sure you understand what that role is and why it's important, because we're going to get organized in such a way that all branch managers report in to a regional director. We've got a number of branch managers now that I maybe inappropriately refer to as orphaned, that they don't have a regional director that they're reporting into. So there's not that leader that is working with them and coaching them and assisting them to the degree that we should and could. So we're going to bring on more regional directors. Regional directors will bring on branches, and then also we're going to plug existing branches in to the team of regional directors. And that's a gift, right? That's $20,000 a month, should be, if you help them follow the plan, from every branch that we give you. That's $250,000 a year per branch that we drop under your regional director hierarchy. You get no cost to be a regional director, not selling you anything. Any other questions that anyone has before we end today's training? So Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, we should be focusing, and I sometimes go off on a tangent. Monday, Wednesday, Fridays at this time, we should be focusing on onboarding new branches and supporting them. And then secondly, we should be on Tuesdays and Thursdays really focused on helping answer questions of prospective branch managers. And so if you want, like Tobin's is ready to become a director, great. Go out, spread the word, and start bringing those prospective branch managers to the Tuesday and/or Thursday calls. Same Zoom access, same time, and we'll further assist you with that. It would be very helpful, though, Tobin and others, if you have them at least start going through the workforce grant certification training, because if you bring them to a Tuesday, Thursday session and they're a blank slate, it will be much less effective than if you said, hey, there's some available resources. It used to cost $1,000 to get certified. You know what? Now you can get certified for free. And frankly, it's going to help you determine pretty easily if you're a good fit to be a branch manager or not. So you get them over here and at least get them started with a certification training. And then we're here Monday through Friday, but Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 Central to further answer questions. So Tobin, what you need to do is just start feeding in the funnel, right? Once you have 4 branches open, then we can formalize the regional director role. You still get paid the $5 grand for those first branches, but to earn the overrides, to be on the leadership team, to have the other perks, we need to have 4 underneath our belt. It's kind of proof of concept. Thank you, Tobin. Any other questions before we end this for today? Any other questions? I see Mary on here. I was talking to Mary last week. I won't exaggerate. I believe that in the next 45 days, by around the end of July, Mary will bring on 20 branches. And Mary, thank you for being part of the team. I have no doubt. And so some of you can hit the ground sprinting like Mary can. Others, will walk first. That's fine. But the key is to start adding branches, formalize your regional director role if that's what you want to be, and be part of our leadership team. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.